Hello, creative people. Welcome to my live with Skillshare. Look at us doing live on YouTube. So pro. Who would have guessed? Not me. Let me in. No, not let me in. Let me know in the comments where you are tuning in from. I'm curious. If you didn't know, I'm live from Warsaw, Poland. If you don't know me at all, my name is Fatih, but you can call me Fab. I am a watercolor artist and an online teacher. I like drawing and painting and proving the others that they can do the same. I believe that if everyone drew and painted on a daily basis, the world would be a better place. That's why I have 20 classes on Skillshare. I'm on a mission to show everyone that they can. And the last 5 of these classes are in the O series. O stands for Abstract Watercolor Escape. Like the name suggests, in these classes I'm showing how I'm making my abstract watercolor paintings. And this brings us today. That's why we are here. I'm going to show you how I do one of my abstract watercolor paintings using watercolor washes, neurographic lines and patterns. These neurographic lines and patterns are very good to relax you. They help you put you in a flow states where you can forget your problems for a moment and unwind, maybe at the end of a long day. It's really good for that. That's why I'm doing them. I'm doing them for a while now, and I started making these classes because I want to share this with everyone so they can also benefit from this relaxing art practice. And the painting we are going to recreate today is this. And we're gonna start with the circle and the lines, neurographic lines, and then we will finish with the painting and watercolor wash. What am I gonna use today? Here I have my watercolor set. It's let me show you the colors. It's Kuretake. It's a difficult name to say. Kuretake, and this set is called Ganzei Tambi. They have very beautiful vivid colors, and since I switched to this set, I refuse to use anything else. I really like it, and I'm gonna use watercolor paper. Let me find, here it is. This is the one I'm using. It's 300 gram watercolor paper, and the same one I used here. I have my watercolor water containers here. One clean water, one dirty water. This is to wash off your brush and get rid of the paint. And then this is to pick up fresh water to go and pick up new colors. So your colors won't be mixed up and get muddy. And I have my brush I'm going to use, and you can see and hear bunch of waterproof pens. I usually use 0.5 for the general lines, but then for the patterns sometimes I use 0.2 thin ones, and or if I'm gonna sometimes I make patterns with dots, I use 0.8. So it depends. For these, to give extra weight to these lines, you're gonna see in a moment, I also use a brush pen. Where is my brush pen? Here. And probably we're gonna use this brush pen today, and maybe for the patterns 0.2. Do I have 3? No. And also this 0.5 for the lines. So this is it. That's what we are going to use. I think I mentioned everything, showed you the painting we are going to create today. So let's get to it, shall we? I'm gonna put this aside for now. Maybe just one last thing, because I prepared here. I can show you a few of the paintings, that's kind of paintings you can do with these classes. That after you take my classes with the techniques you learn, patterns and different lines and different techniques, because you can go ahead and paint first and draw later, or draw first and paint later. I'm going to show you some examples of my own creations, and so you will have an idea what we are talking about. Other than the ones we are going to create today, that you can have many different designs that we are getting there in the on Skillshare. With maybe the next class will be about the this kind of bringing realistic objects into the abstract world. But I usually enjoy making these abstracts. These are more complex. When we start, it is more simple, like these. So don't worry, there is a progression there from 1 to 5, and it will continue this way. We are getting more complex, but we start simple and bring in more techniques, and then keep building on top of that. And like this one, I really like. This is a very calm one with the colors and just the patterns that it's just floating in space. I enjoy using circles that as a shape in my abstract paintings. That's why they have lots of space feel, I think. And but later on we will bring in realistic objects as well. So that's where we are going. I'm gonna put these aside. This could be the benefit you're gonna have from these classes, that you can make these kind of designs by yourself. I'm gonna put my example on the side like this, and we can start drawing. My most used tool to draw my circles is my tape. It's a good size, and the good thing about tape, you can draw circles from outside with many circle objects, but this one's empty inside, and you can just draw from inside. This is much easier, believe me, because from outside, depending on how you are holding the pen, your line might not end up where you start. Let's see if I'm in the middle. It looks like it's in the middle. I don't worry too much about it. And the first circle is in place. This is, let's call it our starting point. I want to have this kind of suspended in the air with maybe like seemingly not visible lines, but we are looking through a different lens and we are able to see it, like in here. That this will be our neurographic lines. What is neurographic lines? Maybe I think I didn't mention that. Maybe let's talk about it. Neurographic lines is when you connect all the lines with this kind of a connection where there are no sharp edges. So you kind of round up all the sharp edges, and you end up with this kind of organic looking lines. And it makes a big difference than just lines going across each other. And also, this is kind of a project that once you get into it, you start looking for the sharp corners and rounding them. It really draws you in, and until you're done, you forget everything else and just do this. This is the best part. And it's the same with the patterns. You start with the pattern and then you just want to see how it's going to end up at the end. That's why you keep doing it. This is the good part. So now I'm going to pick my 05 again. Yes. And I'm going to draw some squiggly lines coming out of the circle. If it doesn't go perfectly, if it's a bit uncertain, your lines, don't worry about it. In a second, I will show you how you can hide your mistakes as well. I'm trying to... What I'm careful here is to... these lines, they are kind of... When I look at it as a total, that the weight of them will be the same all around. Because this is a center-focused composition. And to be able to keep the focus here, that the surrounding area should be... kind of have a similar weight. Almost there, few more lines. Now I'm looking if I'm happy with the weight. That I feel like there is like one extra line here, like around here I want to add one more. That because when I look at the where the lines are coming out from, I feel like in here that needs one more. One here. I think I'm happy with that. So now we can move on to next part. Before making the connections, I actually like adding some weight to the lines. What do I mean by that? Now try to see the difference between these lines and these lines. On these lines with the brush pen, I make some parts thicker, so some parts leave it as it is. So this way it gives a bit of a 3D effect, that there is more depth to it. That's because imagine in a real world, like a ribbon, like going away from you, that it would look thinner, and coming towards you, it would look thicker. So this creates the, more depth in your paintings, and it just looks much better and more interesting. So how do I do that? Usually where there is the curve, where it's dipping, I like to add the extra weight on these parts, like here, that it's gonna start thin and it will start getting... I just realized for this part I need to put my glasses on. And I need some space, guys. And just like that, as you can see, that it immediately looks much better. And some more weight here. And with the brush pen, if you are not used to using brush pen, basically I'm just barely touching to the line, and as I'm dragging along, I apply more pressure. This way the line the brush pen creates gets thicker and thicker, and then I do the reverse and start reducing the pressure, and it gets thinner again, and I just pick the pen up. So for example, I was saying if your lines aren't perfect, don't worry about it. Can you see that this line is just a second, one of my lights went on a mission to embarrass me. Here it's not perfectly rounded, it's kind of going flat here, and you can easily hide that by putting the curve on the outside. And it's instantly more curvy than it was before. And as there is a curve, thicker part here, on the way out I will also add some weight like this. And I added some here so that it gets thin again, and here on where it's kind of curving, I'm gonna put some more weight. Okay. And don't forget, still we are going to create these connections on the top of this. The reason I like doing the adding weight to the lines first, because then these where I make the lines thicker might actually change the connection I'm going to create. Then I would have to do that again, this connection. So not to do it twice, I first add kind of finalize how the lines are going to look like, and after that I create the smooth connections. And in the meantime, this is a very easy and no stress environment to get familiar with the brush pen, and you will get better at it quickly. If you don't have a brush pen or don't like to use brush pen, this is totally doable with the pen you have. You can do everything with 05. It's totally fine. For example, let's put the brush pen aside a bit with 05. Let's say the next line we are going to do is this, and you can just add more line and fill it with your 0.5. This is totally doable. It's the same thing. Just brush pen is a better tool to do this basically, and if you have a chance to get one, I would recommend using it for this purpose. But I don't like excuses that I don't have this, I don't have that, so I can't do it. Use what you have. Art is basically finding a solution to creating the project you have in mind. And if you don't have the exact same tools as I do, this can be, you might not have watercolors, just use crayons to color your creations. If you don't have watercolor paper, just use a normal paper. This is still a really good practice. Just find a way to use what you have. I think I'm talking too much. Sorry about that. Also, I need to pick up the pace a bit. Because we still have a kind of a demanding pattern to make. And I don't want to keep you guys here whole day. Okay, this line is left. As you can see, I have no problem turning my paper around to be able to do this. I'm better from left to right, so I use that. Don't be shy to that an artist should be able to draw from every angle. Okay, yes, but I didn't have this practice from early ages, and probably you didn't too. If you need to turn your page and use your pen from left to right, do so. One more line down. Okay, we are getting there. Another line down. That normally, this is a social thing now, we are doing this together, but when you are just by yourself and make this time for yourself to sit down and create, this is perfect to do this. Like, just be quiet and maybe open yourself music, get your favorite drink, maybe a cup of coffee, and then enjoy making these lines. In a second, we will do the connections as well, the same way. It's really, it became my favorite thing to do. When I feel tired and don't know what to do, that because it's all coming from your head, and you can use any of the designs I have shown you. If it's gonna make it easier for you, and just keep adding weight to the lines. When I'm doing this by myself, I also like to open something in the background. You can definitely open a music. Or what I like to do, and I say this quite often, I open an episode of Seinfeld in the background. By this time, I've watched it so many times, I don't even need to really look at the screen. It's just, Seinfeld is living in my brain rent-free, basically. So when it's playing, I don't even need to see the scenes. I just know everything, and while I'm making my lines, I'm listening to Jerry and George and Elaine, and of course Kramer. If you don't know what Seinfeld is, maybe this will be the best thing out of this live you are going to get. Just search and find and watch. It is on Netflix right now. It's the best TV show ever, basically. And I'm not being paid by Jerry Seinfeld to say this. I'm a big fan. As you can see, from where we started, after adding the lines, this already looks so much better. That this already draws you to the middle. That this could be a design, it could be just enough as well. But we're not going to leave it there. Now, let's create these lines. Let's pick up the pace a bit. So that's what I was saying, that here is, you can see there's a very sharp corner, yes? In all the white spaces, we are getting rid of those sharp corners, like this. And then, again, for this brush pen is very useful to fill these spaces faster. And when you connect, you end up with these organic looking connections, and try to see now the difference between these. Now I'm going to do all the connections quickly, then we will fill them, then we will do our pattern. And then painting will be the fastest part. We don't have to worry about that part. That of course we are now live and I have time concerns. I'm trying to be quick, but when you are doing this by yourself at home, this is the best part. It takes time, and it should take time. You wanted it to take time. You take this time to actually calm your brain. The other day I was thinking, like, doing this is like a deep tissue massage for your brain. At the moment, if you are doing it with me, you might find it difficult because I keep yapping about something. So it won't be weird and quiet here. But later on, when you're by yourself and I won't be talking your ear off, it will be much more relaxing, I promise you. Okay, another one down. I think we are like halfway with the connections, but then of course we need to still fill them in. Could you go over there, please? Thank you. Just getting rid of all the sharp corners. There won't be a single sharp corner left in this painting once we are done. These connections can be as basically as big as you want or as small as you want. I like to do them a bit bigger, that they have more impact this way, but you can do small one like this as well. Let's fill it in so you will see. But I think when they are a bit bigger, like let's fill in this one so you will be able to compare. Again, I said brush pen is easier to fill these, but again, you can do it with your pen as well. So these, they are more impactful, and the sharp corners are somewhat better disguised with these bigger ones. So I would recommend bigger ones. Yeah, I think this is better. Now let's finish the corners. Fill them in. I'm excited to move on to the pattern. Almost there. I like when 3 lines what is the right word? 3 lines intersect like this. Then it creates kind of a star shape. You'll see it better once I fill it in. Did I get them all? I think so. Now I'm picking up the brush pen again, and I'm gonna fill them in quickly. These lines, you can work on them and make them as perfect as you want. You can take your time with it. In here, for example, it's not perfectly transitioning from thin to thick. At the moment, I'm not gonna go into that, not to take forever. But basically, in your own time, you put as much time as you want, and it's up to you. That, as you can see, some of them, when I'm making the line, I went inside the circle a bit. Again, don't worry about it. Once you bring in the pattern, no one will be able to see these kind of imperfections. So basically what I'm telling you is trust the process. Once we put the pattern and the color over this, that will actually take over the whole look, and that will be the first thing people will see, that the colors and the I mean, look at this too at the moment, how different it is. And when you look at this, it immediately draws you in with the pattern, and then the colors add more to the experience. So just trust the process, keep adding the lines, connect them, fill them in, and try to relax and enjoy the process. You can thank me later. Here I made a little mistake, went out of it. Not a big problem, just smooth it out and no one will know. This is abstract. No one knows that it wasn't supposed to be like that in the first place. Okay, almost there. We're about to move on to the pattern part. I hope you are doing it with me and you are also almost finishing, and we can move on to the patterns together. Okay, and this way, as you can see, I was telling you that these connections and sorry, I almost knocked down one of my lights. These connections and leading the way to the lines makes a huge impact on, like, this is already looking so much better. As a different project, you could do like this and just paint the inside, like in here. That's also an option. But here I want to demonstrate patterns as well, so that's what we're going to do. I decided I'm going to use all 5 as well for this. It will fill faster the space, that's one thing. But for the simplicity of it, we just use brush pen and all 5 micron pens and Pigma micron and watercolors. So that's, I like the simplicity of it. So with these patterns, I'm always like starting always from the top left corner, and normally I try to keep them parallel to each other, yes, but since your hand is not perfect, you can't do that. At some point there are some imperfections. It gets closer to the previous line or farther away from it, and then when you try to keep the parallel on the next one, these imperfections from the first lines start getting amplified more and more. And you can just cover it with this pattern all the way, like this. And with these imperfect, that would look like, let me show you an example. The example of that pattern would be, let's say like this one. Very nice wavy pattern. You can do that as well in here. But this one, or like this, it's a good example. I love how these look, and I would recommend doing this as well. Very relaxing pattern. But in here we are going for what I call like a wool yarn, that it looks like lots of lines going on itself. So to be able to go from this to this, sometimes I just draw some lines. Like this. And then I start adding lines on top of these. So then basically you just keep building on top of the previous one. Sometimes changing the rules, deciding you're not going all the way parallel but connecting to the previous line, and then you just start having these kind of interesting looking patterns. Like this, and then you just keep filling the space you have. Okay, it's going well, I think. This wool yarn pattern. That I don't think there's really a big certain rule I could tell you that do this, do that to create these patterns. It's really like you are doing it and I know creating your own rules. I'm gonna keep it parallel. I'm gonna keep adding on top of each other. I'm gonna make them closer, further apart, and this way they just keep appearing. So for example, I drew this line now and I will build on top of this and see where it will take us. This is the, I think, captivating part of these patterns, because as I'm doing them, even though I made so many of them, I still don't know exactly how they're gonna end up. I have an idea, of course. But I don't know for sure. And I think this feeling that you want to find out how your pattern is going to look like, is it gonna look amazing? Is it gonna look interesting? Will you stumble upon something you haven't done before? Because you do a pattern and then while doing it, it always for me like that, I'm having ideas like, oh, I could have done this, I could have done that. And then the next one, you are thinking, I'm going to do like this, and you want to see if it's going to actually work the way you thought it's going to be. And I think this is the part that is really hooks people. When you make your lines, that when the lines get closer to each other and then starts falling apart, that also creates this feeling of depth that looks like it's coming towards you or it's going further away from you. So the frequency of your lines also makes a difference. Okay, we are almost there. Usually when I'm doing this, I think I just make kind of rules for myself. Like first I'm thinking it will start from this center coming out and land along the line. And then I'm switching that. I'm now saying that, okay, now they're going to start coming from here and they will land along this line. So then it creates like there is a lines collecting in one place, then another place, then it creates this 3D effect a bit. And that's what makes them interesting to look at. Now let's bring another line from here and see where that goes. And now just filling these places, but overall I think it looks good that we are creating this yarn effect. As you can see, I made the lines coming closer and closer to each other, so it looks like it's like going inwards this way. I decided to divide this space with this line, and now I'm gonna build on that. We are almost there, I promise. I hope you are not too bored. And only this middle part left. So let's imagine that there's a line going through here. I'm gonna add a bit of a bulge in the middle to fill this space. And I'm gonna do the same in the other direction. So this way our pattern is done. What you can do, that you can also see it in here maybe before I do it, that I add more lines, more weight on the connecting lines here, let's say. We can do that here as well. That make those lines a bit thicker. Especially these main ones. This way it feels more impactful. Okay, I think it's not the same, but it has the same effect. I'm happy how this turned out, and we did everything with this 05 and brush pen. If you didn't have brush pen, everything you could have done with this. This was a white piece of paper. Now it's this. Isn't that amazing? I love this. Now, quickly, we're gonna paint our creation. Let's put this over here and my brush. Maybe I'm gonna use, I think, for this, cherry blossom pink, turquoise blue. I'm dropping some water with my eyedropper thing, device, tool. And I think I want... Let's do it a bit different. This is like a warmer green, but I'm gonna use turquoise green, deep, or forest green. Let me see, where is my... Quickly. Turquoise green deep or forest green. I'm gonna keep turquoise green. And definitely we need a yellow. I'm gonna use this Aurolin here. Let's drop some water on them too. And we need a red and an orange. For that, let's use... For the red, I'm gonna use rose madder. And orange will be cadmium orange. I'm gonna put it here. We're gonna do this quickly and we will say goodbye. I'm gonna quickly wet the paper so that we will have nice flowing colors. That you can also paint this section by section, that we have these sections. You can do that too. That's there are many different ways you can approach to this project. Maybe later by yourself you would like to do a second one and try something different. Of course, I'm not going inside the pattern. This is the design we are creating today. But again, that's not a rule. If you want, you can paint the middle as well. Okay, and let's start with the blue. I will drop some blue here. I'm washing the blue away and switching to green. As you can see, this is a very potent color. And again, we want to do this quickly before it dries the edges so that they will blend nicely. So I'm switching to pink on the other side of the blue before it dries off. This part, it pulled a bit. I'm gonna help it a little. That's why kitchen towel is useful. And now I'm gonna switch from this side to this side again to not to let it dry too much. And for this side, I'm gonna use yellow. But as you can see, I'm kind of creating a rainbow. I say in my classes, you can't go wrong with rainbow. Because the colors next to each other are supposed to correspond well, and you don't end up with muddy colors. And now I'm gonna switch to the red for this part next to pink, rose madder. And the remaining part will be orange. As you can see with these colors, I first put where it's not touching, and then at the end I'm touching so that I won't fiddle too much. I want to let them do their own thing. And a bit of different color choices, it gave us a different result. I'm happy to show the difference between the two projects this way. I will just help here that everything is good. I like it. Just I'm gonna pick up the extra here and get rid of that white space. And I'm gonna pick up some of the excess here as well, because the paper, even though it's 300 milliliters, it buckled a bit, so it's pulling here and at the edges. I'm taking these extras. And this way our project is complete. This was our let's come to the side of it. This is what we wanted to do, and this is what we end up with. I actually really like the color combo on this one. It's a bit cooler here and warmer over there. I like it. Okay, so anything else? I have some notes here, so I wouldn't forget. Give me a second. Please share your creations. I would really like to see them. You can go to Skillshare and share it under one of my classes as a class project, or you can post your finished piece in Skillshare Discord channel. That's important, Discord channel. Or you can tag me, Fabworks, and Skillshare. You can share it on Instagram and mention us as Skillshare and Fabworks. That's way also we can see them and share them with our audience as well. And did I forget anything? Just give me a second. I'm checking my notes. Make sure to subscribe to Skillshare YouTube channel. for more Skillshare Live like this one. And thank you for tuning in and creating with me. I can't wait to go to Discord and chat with you guys. And if you find the time, I'm looking forward to seeing your projects under my Skillshare classes as well. So I think I checked my notes. I think this was it. Thank you for tuning in. I will see you in the Discord channel. As I always say at the end of my classes, stay creative. Bye.